All right, welcome. I have a special guest. Her name is Tiffany Moreland. She is on a mission to change lives. She's been a coach and an educator for 16 years, made an impact both on students and colleagues, and has a passion to help people through good and hard times. She helps those who are called to a new season of life and in transition in life. She has walked with people through good times and bad times, led by finding the silver lining in all situations. She provides encouragements, making sure that those that she works with feel that they are worthy and that they are enough. She helps those struggling to find purpose in life and to strive to never quit on their goals and dreams and move forward after setbacks. It's so nice to have you, Tiffany. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Miles.
Hey, you're welcome. It's exciting to have you here and have you share a little bit about your special niche that you work in as far as coaching is concerned. And you work in something that's really special and something that I want to hit on this evening, especially when it comes to the topic of grief
Yes.
and how leaders can deal with that as they're going through it and they're
Mhm.
still having to lead organizations, businesses, could be nonprofit, could be corporate world, could be an entrepreneur somewhere, but they are a leader, they're in charge, and they are facing some major grief. They've lost someone really special to them. What are some things that you would help them with or help them work through that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's always hard. And, just trying to get through those things a little bit at a time. Grief is always, most of the time, unexpected. Even if it's something that somebody is health wise is kind of gone down or whatever, it's still, you can't really ever prepare for it. And like, as for myself, in 2021, in 6 months' time, I lost 8 people.
Oh,
And
wow.
some that I was more extremely close to, some that were just friends. But at the same time, I've still also got my full-time job as a coach, so still leading my teams through that. And as a full-time teacher, still carrying on myself. So
Mm-hmm.
um, really it starts with mindset, and along with everything else, you got to kind of get your mindset right. And it's not going to go away in a day. It's not going to go away, even in a week. Like, it's really stuff you have to focus on and concentrate on, and not just like sit in that. So if I just keep sitting in it and kind of feeling sorry for myself, then I can't lead. So at the same time, you're still trying to work on, in the business of leading your teams and leading your people, you're trying to deal with your emotions at the same time. And one of the biggest things, like, you have to face those emotions as they come up. You can't run from it. If
Yeah.
you run from it, it's just going to keep building up and building up and building up, and you're never going to be able to get over it.
I'm Miles 3, and I help leaders who've been experiencing winning moments in the past, but right now you realize you need a new game plan and you want to dominate in your industry and life. It's really interesting because, in my experience in leadership, I've never, um, well, I have experienced a death of a close family member. It happened, well, it's over 10 years ago, it'll be 11 years this year. My grandmother passed away. She was really special to me. Um, Outside of that, I've had other grandparents pass away, but this grandmother was like the closest. Uh,
Yeah.
and for me, that situation, I had plenty of time to prepare myself for it.
Mhm.
And here's how. Um, the type of industry I was in nonprofit work at the time. I was a missionary overseas. I was raising support, funding it, sourcing it, all that kind of stuff. And so I was coming back to America on regular basis, every few years, 2 or 3 years,
Right.
or sometimes more.
Mhm.
And there was a good time frame, I would say a 4 or 5 year time frame, that her health was deteriorating. And I knew, because of my lifestyle, my work, that the opportunities I had with her are going to be limited. So every
Mhm.
time was a goodbye.
Yeah.
As in my mind, this is a goodbye. You may never see her again.
Mhm.
And when it came time for her passing and it was getting real close and hospice was in and all the family was around, and my job at the time didn't allow me just to take up and leave because I was working in the corporate world, and you just can't, they like to control your life for some reason.
You're right.
And um, but this is where I feel like God really blessed me. The day that she passed away, I was able to call her on the phone and talk to her and say goodbye to her. And she actually passed as I was on the phone with her.
Wow.
Yes. And that was still hard, but
Yeah.
I was able to, um, I was sad for the rest of the family.
Hmm.
But I mean, at that moment in time, I'm not trying to be self. I wasn't really sad for myself.
Yeah, you
I
had the
knew,
closure though. You had
yeah,
that you needed, that it kind of, not relief, about that, but that you did get to say your goodbyes. There was nothing to carry on. And, kind of like you said, even trying to prepare for it, as in business with that, you know, you, for me, I always, live like it's going to be my last day today. And so
mm,
trying to live in the moment and the present, people ask me, well, what are you doing in 2 months from now, 3 months from now? Well, I don't exactly know. I may not even be here. So
yeah,
for me, like I break it down in smaller. And so, like for business to help through with that too, like keep setting those goals and work for them just small increments at a time. Don't just, think way too far in advance of, oh, this is going to happen in 10 years,
hmm.
So,
And what about businesses and leaders as you watch your people go through that? And here's something else I've noticed as well, especially working in the corporate world. People, they have their bereavement policies. All right.
yes.
All right. You know, someone really close to you dies and you get 1 week off and you're expected to show back up, and you think that person's going to produce the same results.
Exactly. No.
How does a leader deal with that when you have people that have lost someone really important to them? How do you help them through that process?
Helping the leaders or the
Or
people that have lost
helping the leader, helping his people, or
so
helping their
people
people?
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like even,
your
with
hands.
my business, that we don't have that grief time actually away or whatever. So
Mm,
like when the last one that's passed so far was my grandpa that passed away in December. And I mean, all the stuff to take care of or whatever. And I took off for 8 days.
mm,
And they just kind of come back from that, and the waves of grief and the emotions that some days I'm perfectly fine, and other days just out of nowhere, like I'm just
mhm,
like, what in the world hit me? And I the advice to be to the leaders or whatever is to be there and like listen to them when they need that. Don't like push it aside, like, oh yeah, sorry you lost someone, we're praying for you, whatever, but you got to give me your 100%. Like, we try our best, we give that or whatever, but being understanding and knowing that it's going to be a struggle, especially if they only took a week off to come back and try to give you the 100% effort that they did before something happened.
yeah,
So being able to understand that, letting them have that ear to just come in and be like, look, today's just not a very good day. I'm going to try my best. Here's what you're going to get today. So really just being more understanding about that part and not just kind of like brush it off like it wasn't a big deal.
mm.
Hey, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel.
So, what about the person that you know? They've lost someone really important to them, and they've had several months pass by,
Hmm.
and they're still in grief that is keeping them from functioning fully. How do you help that person?
Yep. Like I said, it really starts with the mindset and then figuring out like where they want to go. So, like you said in my intro, and what I work for is like their purpose. The purpose that they had is not there anymore from that moment that they lost somebody. You lose your spouse, your other half, and all the goals and dreams that you had like instantly taken away.
Mm,
And so just working toward that part of, okay, well, what's next? I'm still here, I still have that purpose. What is it going to be? How can we work to continue to honor their legacy? They don't want us to be completely sad. Yes, so the price of love is grief.
mm,
If we're not sad, we never loved. And
mhm,
that's the ultimate thing. Like we as human beings strive to be loved.
yeah,
And so, working toward what is your new purpose? Like you are enough for where you are, where you're at, like exactly where you are. but
Mm,
how are we going to keep moving forward and baby steps?
yeah. Well, what about that person and this is something I've seen happen in the last
Mhm,
couple of years, especially
mhm.
here again, working in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And you're working towards retirement.
Hmm.
That wonderful day where you don't have to go clock in to do the 9 to 5 no more and you can enjoy your life.
Yep.
And I've seen people I know personally working their way towards that time, and it either get right to that time or right after it.
Hmm.
Either that individual passes away or someone really close to them that they were going to spend that time with, their partner, they were going to spend that time with, passes away, and those dreams are gone.
Hmm.
What about those situations? How can people, and you mentioned it earlier, live each day like it's your last? How do they take advantage of the time that they have before it's gone?
Right. So really it's just like starting right now. Like
Mm,
what do you want to do? Like take those vacations when you can take those vacations. Spend those times with the people that you want to spend those time with. Make sure you say the things that you feel that you need to say. Like don't leave things left unsaid. Don't, if you have the opportunity to take a trip, like go for it now because you don't know if you're going to make it to that point. You don't know if you're going to make it to next week. Like you just never know.
mm. Yeah, that's so true. And for me, watching that and seeing that happen um, made me realize it's more important that I make sure, like you said, I'm enjoying the opportunities that I have and take advantage of them. I don't, and I'm not, don't be afraid to take that time off or request that extra time off
Mhm.
because it doesn't matter at the end of the day what that company does. The
Right.
reality is, we all know it. If you die tomorrow, they're gonna
Mhm.
replace you anyway. I
Exactly.
mean, what is this is one thing we're the one thing we're talking about. If that happens to you, they might grieve you a little bit, but honestly, they're
Yeah.
gonna find somebody, especially in this marketplace right now, to fulfill your fill your position.
Exactly. And like with that like great point, like with the job or whatever, like some people like that's their focus. Like they're all in on just the job, and that their job takes away so much time from their family. And
Hmm.
so, even like the time that they get to be with the family, they may be thinking about job. So, it's also finding that balance in between that. And like you said, just the little at a time, like just when I look back, like I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to have regrets that I didn't do something that I wanted to do, or vice versa, something like, man, like I really just shouldn't have done that to begin with.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Now, you've got a special program you do with this, so elaborate a little bit about your program and how you help people through this process and
Mhm.
what tell us a little bit about that and what can they
Yeah.
gain from it.
Yep. Well, like I said, my main thing is to find their renewed purpose. Their purpose may at the beginning being like for me, like my purpose is being a teacher and changing those lives. And the impact of academics is important, but it's not as important as their well-being and how they are right now and how they're going to be successful outside of those school walls. Like
Mm,
they got to be good human beings.
mhm,
So, same thing with helping people deal with grief. Like I want to help you right where you are, you
mm,
know, right in your feelings that we are, and get you to the point that you can function again. Because so many times, like people just they don't know how to carry on because, they're mad at God or they're mad at, you know, nothing's ever expected. Whether they got killed in an accident,
mhm,
drunk driving, a heart attack, like none of that is, it's really hard to just accept it. And
mm,
so, really, with my program, it's like working on trying to accept that first and then acknowledging it and just working through steps with them, mentally, whether it's writing stuff down constantly all the time, because you may not be able to say it. Like our feelings inside or our emotions show outward in other ways.
mm,
And it's not ever meant to be, sometimes like taken out on other people. It's
yeah,
just we don't know how to internalize it to get it out in a positive way. So leading them through that, leading them through again, feeling the emotions when they need to, don't run from it, and just the ultimate goal is back on track with them slowly of finding their direction again. Like you
Mm,
said, with even the retirement part or in their business and or the corporation that they're working for, like they have all these dreams and goals, and it's like, well, who am I? Like I was this person's wife, I was this person's husband, and that's like that was their identity. And
yeah.
once they've lost that, they're like, I'm not that anymore. Like, so okay, now I'm this widow, or now I've lost my kid. Am I still a mom? Am I still a
Hmm.
dad? So trying to just work through those things of like who they are, where do they want to go from here? And again, the biggest thing, like honoring their legacy. They don't want us to be sad. Keep remembering them, keep
Yeah.
moving forward with them. And the things that you do when you look back and be like, I know that person, like I 100% know, like my grandpa would be proud of me and everything that's just even in this short amount of time that I like. Yes, I have my moments. I'll cry. Have my days I don't want to be around anybody and all of that.
Hmm.
Just trying to keep pushing through that to make sure that I know the things that I'm doing now are still going to be pleasing to him.
So we've done a lot of talking about the grief side as far as dealing with death.
Hmm.
How about other forms of grief?
Yes,
Let us.
absolutely. There's so many other types of grief. Like you said, the job loss,
Mhm.
um, just the mind loss of something. You're being let down. Your friend did something to you, and now you're not talking. So just the relationship loss,
Yeah.
you know a pet loss, the same thing. It's still a loss.
Oh yeah.
So it's trying to deal with all of those things too. While yes, as in a relationship, that person is still here, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not the same thing. Meaning that they were if you were together.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple. Actually, it was last year during the summer. Um, my youngest son, I set a deadline for him to leave.
Mhm.
And I
Get
was transitioning. I was wanting some free time because I was about to get remarried. Okay.
Mhm.
So I wanted some free time to just have by myself and to try to get ready for my wife to join me and all this kind of stuff. And so I set a drop dead date for him to leave and kind of kicked him out, but not really, but
Yeah.
because if I'd waited on him, he'd just keep living there. That's
Right.
just not that's his personality. He's free
Yeah.
spirited.
Uh-huh.
And so I set a drop dead date for him. And that day sucked.
Yeah.
Uh, he has been the one that stuck with me. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
No, you're good.
See, I went through a divorce. That's another form of grief I went
It
through. But
is.
he stayed with me and I kept the house and kept him with me. But that was major loss. I actually wasn't expecting to cry right now. But
Mhm.
that day he left, for me to set that deadline was hard enough. But then
Mhm.
when it happened, to realize the grief, and it actually took me a couple of days to kind of
Mhm.
get over it.
Yeah.
Uh, and it impacted me in ways I wasn't expecting.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just wasn't, I don't know why emotionally or mentally I wasn't prepared for that. I was prepared for the
You
deadline,
were ready to go. Yeah.
but I wasn't prepared for the real event when it
Mhm.
happened. And even that, I think a lot of times we don't we don't always think about those
Mhm.
things when it comes to grief, because you mentioned the animal as well. I mean, people, when you have
Yeah.
that happen to you, they become family members. I mean, the
Mhm.
same thing would happen to me if something happened to our dog right now, because he's
Yeah.
been with me forever. He's always there. He's always happy to see me. I could be the biggest asshole in the world. He's happy to see me walking in the door. And so, that kind of stuff, we don't understand the impact of that and
Mhm.
don't take that into consideration. And
Yeah.
that again too is something I feel like leaders need to be aware of. What are your people
Mhm.
going through?
Yeah.
It doesn't have
Absolutely.
to necessarily be death. You know, um, I've had led people that were going through those hard times of
Mhm.
relational difficulties, change in their life. Yes, I've had plenty of them lose family members and help them through that process as well. Um, But yeah, seeing people's marriages fall apart and try to help them through that process. And, as a leader, you're still trying to get goals and accomplish, but you also got to think about, man, you got a human being right here.
Yep.
And everything you're trying to do, you're trying to get done through them. But if you don't take care of them, who are you in the first place?
Hmm. And
Like,
that's the thing, like a lot of that, like it's not necessarily looked at as a human being anymore. So like as a leader to be able to see that, like not saying that they don't care, but they don't care,
yeah,
it's not, especially now and in the last 3 years with the pandemic and everything and the mental health of people. I mean, like you could be looking at them and we look fine. I
mm,
can put on a fake smile all day, but internally, like am I okay?
yeah,
And I may be smiling at work or whatever. And people don't, like you said, they don't know. And they don't take that time in developing meetings or whatever to be like, hey, check your temperature. Like,
mm,
how are you? How are you feeling? Like, tell me that way, everybody in the meeting can know too, like, hey, this is kind of what's going on. This is where I am.
yeah,
Help me if you can. Let me, if this is going on, it's not intentional to, hurt anybody or anything like that. But here we are.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So, how would people get in contact with you if they want to discover more, learn more, need some help working through some type of grief? It doesn't necessarily have to be death, but how do they go about doing that?
Yep. I have a website, www.bouncebackandelevate.com. The thing that hit me back with that is, we're all going to have hardships in life, no matter what it is, whether it, the job, the relationships, the loss of a loved one, financial stuff, religion stuff, like whatever, hardships are going to come our way. And so if we get, you know, knocked down, we got to get back up and we got to get back up stronger. And everything that we go through, either is going to keep us crumbled or it's going to make us stronger that the next time this same type situation, we know how to overcome it.
Okay.
And so just getting back up stronger. So there, Facebook, you can look me up, Tiffany Moreland, send me a DM.
All right. Well, I'll make sure I put that in the description for everyone as well. I really appreciate the value added for us today, and look forward to sharing it out there with others. And I'll include you in the link. So, thanks for
Awesome.
joining me this evening, and wish you the best.
Absolutely. Thanks, Miles.
I'm Miles 3. I hope this has been of value to you. Check out one of the videos above and sign up for your complimentary coaching call in the description below.